Thank you very much. Now we'll go back to the budget. Now, I am, the board is seeing for the first time what is considered the mayor's budget. So, again, you're perusing it as this is basically my pitch to the board as to the budget for next year. Now, in summary, the largest expenditure and the largest difference, and as we are all aware, and as a follow-up to the communication that has gone out to our village residents, we are experiencing a large increase with regard to waste, garbage pickup and garbage dumping. So that really is the lion's share of our budget before you today, and you will be able to see that the increase from 2023, which was $840,000, has now gone up to $1,808,357. Now, that is obviously a substantial increase. And I will circle back to that in a moment. We are not, I'm not proposing any increases really anywhere else. We will have an opportunity in executive session with regard to prospective staff raises, clerk, treasurer, that level of staff. So that I will not address here this evening. Other than that, there really is no, I am not proposing any increase with regard to the line items that you see. And again, going through again, staff, that's what we're talking about. We've had an increase in our legal budget due to the litigation costs to the village. Not crazy, but again, an increase. We've had a little bit of an increase with regard to engineering because, again, as the village continues to grow and age, things end up happening that we have to have Martin check out. When folks talk about potholes or storm drains, we need to send Martin out to do an initial inspection to make sure to see what's involved, and then he calls Town of Ramapo, but then at least Town of Ramapo picks that up, part of our agreement with them. So again, I'm not really proposing any extra increase as far as that line is concerned. We're still waiting to hear back on that SAM grant for the improvements to Village Hall. That's a wash, so it's really not costing us. It's not, once we get to $50,000, that's what we'll spend. So we're not going to be going above that. We did experience, or will experience, an increase in insurance costs. Again, we're estimating, in the neighborhood of 5-7% increase in insurance. We don't have any major issues with regard to road maintenance. What we're going to do is we will spend the CHIP money that we receive. We anticipate $200,000 in CHIP money, and that's what we plan on spending as far as the roads and things of that nature. if we end up having access to any type of grant money for infrastructure repair where it's not going to cost us anything, or road maintenance that comes up as a result of O&R, contracting and things of that nature, then that should be a wash. In that I'm not proposing that we increase our road maintenance budget this year. Though the village engineer did suggest that so we don't get behind the eight ball as far as maintaining our roads, we try to go above and beyond our CHIPS money. But to go above and beyond our CHIPS money, we're talking $200,000-300,000, which at this juncture really isn't the way to go. So I'm not going to be proposing that. So so that having been said, that brings us to garbage. Now, unfortunately, and I know I'm preaching to the choir to some degree as far as the trustees are concerned, but I know there have been residents who have made some comments and or observations with regard to the drastic increase, and as financial stewards, why are we sitting back and not doing anything about it, or taking so long to do something about it. With being purely factual, this just happened 2 years ago. Pre-COVID, we weren't experiencing the increase. We weren't having to experience the increase in garbage fees that we are experiencing post-COVID. And there was no way our crystal ball would have been able to show us of garbage going up 111%. There was no way our crystal ball would have showed us that dumping fees would go from $50 to $75 to $99 a ton. So unfortunately, once we found out that that was the case, we started doing something about it, i.e., we had our ARPA funds to at least ease the initial hit with regard to the increase. And with the next budget, we started to discuss, well, how then do we address this increase in garbage? And then that's when we started looking for Rockland Green, to maybe go to Rockland Green to handle our garbage. In the interim, we still had to advertise interim for garbage pickup because we still had to have garbage to be picked up. When we did, IWS was the only contractor to bid. Why just IWS? I cannot give you the answer to that, other than, unfortunately, it's not a lucrative of a business as it once was, and apparently county carters are limiting their, again, from the reconnaissance that we've done, are basically limiting the business with regard to municipalities as it's getting more expensive for them. Their margins are apparently reduced, and labor costs are increased, so they're trying to run a little bit of a tighter business. Obviously, we went out of our way to try to find other contractors, talking to other municipalities who do they contract with. We've reached out, we even reached out to certain contractors on an informal basis to say, hey, you're going to submit a bid, and nobody submitted a bid other than IWS. When these bids came back, Rockland Green was just a surprise in that Rockland Green, as they were trying to, I'll say recruit, and I say that in a very positive way, try to have us maybe join them or allow them to pick up our garbage. They were talking in the neighborhood of around $50 to $55 a house. Now, in addition, and that was going to be all inclusive of pickup and dumping, but that didn't include their 5% dig that they add on to what the cost would be. In addition, there probably would have been certain restrictions with regard to certain bulk pickup, certain landscaping, things of that nature. However, that wasn't going to turn us away from Rockland Green. We said, fine, let's go out and let's bid the job and see what happens. We bid it. IWS is the only contractor to respond, and we're at $80 a house. And again, more restricted than what we were presently getting with IWS. So we were able still to bid a renewal of the garbage contract, and IWS came in at the present rate of $54, $55, a house way under what Rockland Green that was proposed to Rockland Green. Why the difference? I can't tell you why. Business part, that was a business decision on their part. However, the total rate to the village was less than what we would have gotten through Rockland Green, and it still would have been on our taxes. It wouldn't have been on the town of Ramapo taxes, which normally that's how it would have been allocated. Again, doing a little bit of a reconnaissance in comparison amongst the county. Everyone in the county is around in the neighborhood of around $56 a house. That seems to be the number. Apparently, some folks bring up a neighboring town that allegedly is around a little under $40 a month, but that's just for garbage collection. It doesn't include recyclables, doesn't include yard waste, it doesn't include bulk items. So for the $56 that we're giving our residents, the 2,680 houses that we have in the village, they're probably getting a good, they are getting a value. Now, there also has been criticism, there's been suggestion as to why not privatize. Well, again, the little bit of reconnaissance that we've done as far as privatizing is concerned, it costs $75 a house per month. $75 if we were to privatize. So whether you're putting out one bag or 5 bags, it's going to cost you $75 a month if we were to go and privatize garbage. Not the thing to do. As an aside, right, what did the village do? The village picks up your garbage. The village makes sure that your roads are paved, plowed, fixed. And what's the village do? They have their village staff to make sure you're getting your proper construction permits, your land use boards, and things of that nature. That's what a village is supposed to do. We're supposed to be able to do that for our residents. Now, there's also been some suggestion or a criticism that that maybe homeowners would pay for their own, garbage. Well, by doing that, we would have to establish a garbage district. Garbage district would then be based upon a particular area of the village. We would have to see exactly, it would be a direct pass-through of what the cost is to pick up in that particular district to what it costs that district. In addition, what would happen is those folks in that district would lose the benefit of the commercial properties minimizing their bite of the garbage pickup. Right now, the whole village pays the taxes for garbage. We went to a garbage district, then that means the commercial properties would no longer be subsidizing the garbage pickup for the residents. Not a prudent thing to do financially. So, what ends up happening is we need to, by having the whole village pay, we're spreading it around. Now, people say, well, I'm only one person, I'm only 2 people. I put out 1 bag a week, I put out 1 bag every 2 weeks. That's all well and good. And the folks are paying, in a way, a user type of fee to the degree that if they're taking out permits for a home, their home is assessed at $1 million, they're paying taxes on $1 million home. Your house is assessed at $400,000, you're paying taxes on a $400,000 home. I think it's a safe bet that perhaps the person with the $1 million home, maybe they're generating more garbage, maybe they're not generating more garbage, but they're definitely helping out, subsidizing the neighbor whose house maybe is only at $400,000. So, when it comes to user fees, that's also a slippery slope. Right? Once you want to start saying, I want to go a la carte, doesn't work out. That's not what a village does. We are here to provide services. So that's what we need to provide. And again, there was also some question, and there was some and I was offended a little bit, but I won't be too offended, in that Well, used to be, we didn't have so many families, so many people in the family. And now there's eight members of a family, as opposed to only 2 or 3 or things of that nature. Beyond the disturbing connotation as to what being intimated by that, in as far as trying to blame garbage in a very backhanded, discriminatory way. The long and the short of it is, this is what a village does. It provides a service. And if you're paying your taxes, you deserve to have your garbage picked up, and it doesn't matter whether you have 8 people in your family, 2 people in your family, 5 people in your family. That's what a village does. And when the village was first established in 1986, there were houses with 3, 4, 5 members. Maybe there was with 7. But at the same time, too, dumping fees were $50 a ton, $35 a ton. I'm not gonna go back to 1986, but what happened back then was we had a transfer station in the village. That the garbage was going through that transfer station. So that means the dumping fees to the village were reduced because IWS had the transfer station, and IWS was giving a discount to the village as long as they were the carter, so they were not paying the full dumping fee when they had to go dump wherever they had to dump at the time. Then during maybe it was 15 years ago, I guess, when they came up with designating the garbage, everybody has to dump in one spot, and Rockland Green almost came in. I guess that was probably when Rockland Green came to fruition, where they would set a regular dumping fee. That means the village lost out not only on a form of discount that was coming through on the transfer station, they also lost out on the host fee. Because every ton of garbage that came over the roads in Chestnut Ridge would receive a host fee for that. So that means in 1986 through the time that they changed the garbage regulations, Chestnut Ridge was recognizing 6 figures in extra host fees and things of that nature. Unfortunately, taxes thankfully weren't going up, but they were going down. And they were going down de minimis, in that they had extra money, and then they reduced the tax rate. And when you reduce the tax rate, and people were saving maybe $10 a year, $15 a year, $20 a year, unfortunately, you never get that reduction of tax rate back. So, not to look backwards, but that would have been the time to keep it status quo. You didn't have to raise taxes, but to lower them, we're paying for it now. In addition, what were the dump fees, say, 5 years ago? We were probably at around 4,300 tons. 4,300 tons a year, right? Now we're up to around 5,500. So, yes, we've experienced a little bit of an increase. However, our dump fees back then were about under $400,000. They were under $350,000. They were $328,000 to be exact. $328,000 a year for dumping fees. Now we're going to a high of $550,000. You can't anticipate that, and that is because Rockland Green now is charging $99 a ton. We now don't get the benefit of the $20 a ton discount that we used to get from IWS, because IWS doesn't have a transfer station in the village anymore. So we not only recognize the increase in the per house charge for garbage, we unfortunately also had to experience the dumping fee increase, because we lost the transfer station, we lost the discount on dumping fees, and the dumping fees now at Rockland Green are $99 a ton. So, having said that, that's why that line on the budget is at $1,800,000 in the proposed budget, and it was only $840,000 in 2023. So, how one could have anticipated that I don't know, but we are trying to address it. And how do we address it? Unfortunately, is at this point, we have to think about raising taxes. And that's the only way around it. That's the only way around it. We've tried to do it in a little bit. We tried to figure out other methodologies, to try to figure out another way to collect garbage, but there are 2,680 homes in this village. And that's an expectation from us. And without sounding unsympathetic, I understand that perhaps there are folks in the village that just individuals or just couples, and they aren't generating as much garbage anymore. But you know what? They used to. They used to, number one. Number two, there are 2,680 houses in the village. And I'm going to venture a guess that more than 50% of those 2,680 houses have a family of at least 3, 4, or 5, and that need the benefit of the garbage collection that we have in the village. So, that is why you see that number increase the way you do. That having been said, there are really no other proposed increases in this budget. Like I said, we'll talk about possible staff increases. We tried to look at, is there maybe a possibility of additional revenues coming in with the development that's happening in the village and things of that nature. Again, trying to be conservative and not overestimate potential revenues that we're going to see. But you know, there's only so much that you can rely on sales tax, tax on utility bills, and franchise taxes on cable and things of that nature. So, unfortunately, there aren't a lot of revenue generators for us to look at this point. However, there is still development going on in the village, and we will continue to conservatively anticipate that. So, that having been said, this is my pitch to you. Okay, as it is right now, when you cut right to the chase, we have a 1.6 deficit to make up. That's a result. Most of that, the lion's share of that, is the garbage. 1.6. So that is something for us to ruminate on as to how we want to reduce that deficit. Now, we are fortunate in that we've got reserves. I'm not proposing that we use up those reserves totally. I am not adverse, and for us to be discussing utilizing some of those reserves to try to mitigate the tax increase. But the letter that we sent out to the village, estimating that we're probably in the neighborhood of 45% tax increase, I think that's pretty close, plus or minus a point or two. So that is my proposal to the trustees. And again, you'll have an opportunity to talk about staff increases. Do we have any questions from at least the trustees?
Well, I was going to just say something.
Yes, again.
You know, of course, we've been in a strong inflationary period. So utilities, water, everything has gone up in cost. So we're finally catching up here with the garbage. You know, I've had many properties, and I've had properties where there's been private pickup. What happens there is it becomes different people doing different things. People don't pay their bills. If they come out, it's a mess. What we have now is regular pickup. We have continuity, and the village looks good. So we want to keep the village looking good. We want to have that continuity. That's why we have this garbage pickup. Now, what happens here is if you look at the number here, it's 1.2 million plus to run up the streets. Okay, whether the person has 1 bag or 10 bags, it's still the same to run up that street. The dumping fees of the 544, that reflects, yes, there's more tonnage, but also the price is going up. So really, there's no other way, or there's a way, but I don't think that we should get rid of the way our village looks, and we have continuity of pickup, so on and so forth. What happens too is everybody's busy, everybody's working, so they have to worry about somebody picking up the garbage or suggestion taking it done themselves. It's crazy. So really, there is no other choice here. Correct?
Thank you, Paul. This was a hard one. This was a hard one for us. And again, how you can anticipate an increase that this village has had experienced is very difficult. Well, again, we're not the only ones. There are other municipalities that are experiencing the same increases. However, those municipalities that are signed up with Rockland Green, they're at $55, $56 a house, and their taxes are on the town tax bill. They're not on their village tax bill. So if you go and you try to compare other village taxes, yeah, their tax, I don't know, maybe initially you may see their taxes, I still think our village taxes are pretty low comparatively speaking. But if you look at it, to compare apples to apples, I think then you have to see what they're paying for their garbage.
Wasn't it true that when we were looking at the difference between the Rockland Green option and the IWS option, it was more than $500,000 difference, meaning Rockland Green's going to be more than $500,000 up? What, are you crazy? We're not going to spend $500,000 just so we can change it around a little bit. You know, doesn't make sense.
And I guess in recognition or in fairness to the fact that there are some folks that recognize the fact that cost has gone up, and that's a plus. But I think what needs to be the flip side to that is there are some folks that may feel as though that we had all of this time to figure out how to do it, and we just sat back and didn't do anything about it. And that could be, and that's incorrect. But again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So,
well, one thing that's interesting about the carting business is it's labor intensive, it's fuel intensive, it's an equipment intensive. So even though we might have had varying degrees of inflation, wage improvement, diesel fuel, and we see what the price of cars have done, these trucks are very expensive, so what was once X is now X plus 170%. I mean, so they're faced with we're caught by somebody that has all the hardest inflation points, or the worst inflation points: labor, fuel, and equipment. So, hey, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that I like this, I'm not, but I'm just saying these are the realities, I can't change it.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions with regard to any of the line items that I presented? Again, you have an opportunity to ruminate a little bit more. We'll talk about more.
Quick points.
Sure.
When the mayor mentioned before that there's one village or one municipality that is at $40. I mean, I don't know what the time frame is with their garbage contract. We were once at $20-something, right? And they can be smack in the middle of it, and a year or two from now, they can also be going up. I mean, wherever we've looked, every village, every municipality keeps going up as soon as the next garbage contract runs out, their current runs out. I have been asked, and I was surprised by the question, why did we not raise taxes a year ago? Why did we wait until now? And I never thought I'd hear today, couldn't we have had more taxes? Thinking back to where we were a year ago, we were just about ready to go with Rockland Green. It made so much sense, and we were feeling it's the right thing to not raise taxes. And looking at the pushback, rightfully so, people are upset that it's going up now. We couldn't have done that last year. So I think what we're doing, to me, and I think to all of us, makes sense. I just have one more comparison a few people mentioned today, and it's floated through my head. It's different because it's not the village tax, it's another district. But we do hear all the time people in the community at large saying, why are we paying East Ramapo School District taxes. We're paying thousands and thousands of dollars, and we're getting just a little bit of service, maybe bus service, and we have to beg for it, lousy service, and everybody knows the answer as soon as they ask that question. Taxes is part of life, and no, we don't get that much because it's our choice to send to private school, but that's what it is. We paid $8,000 and $9,000. We could all, and we, I mean anyone that is in this position that they're getting very little bang for their buck, and say, hey, why are we paying thousands and thousands of dollars for someone else's kid? But that's what taxes work. And, you know, the more I think about it, the more I've heard it from other people, I think it does make sense that that's just the way the garbage tax is. Fair or unfair.
Thank you, Trustee Cronin. All right, so at this juncture, before we will have a formal budget hearing on the 10th. By that time, we'll have, before then, we'll have what should be the, I'll say a final document to the degree that this is what we'll probably then move forward on. Obviously, it's always going to be subject to comments from the hearings that we're going to have on both the 10th and possibly on the 18th. But we'll be in a little bit of a better position. Now, I am going to stray a little bit, and as they say, no good deed goes unpunished, but I'm going to go against my own corollary. Because this is a workshop, normally we don't really, and the budget is part of the workshop, we normally don't entertain comments from the public. However, I know this is a hot topic with members of the public, so if there are any members from the public that are here, and if they do wish to speak with regard to what I just proposed before the trustees, I will entertain that, and if anything, you will have 3 minutes to either provide your take on what's going on, and we'll leave it at that. So again, I am straying a little bit from what was at the workshop, but again, I know this is a unique situation. So if anybody from the public that wishes to speak, just name and address for the record, and I just need, and you'll get 3 minutes, if that's sufficient. Okay.
Good evening. Judah Schuster, 27 Eastbourne Drive. I just want to come up and say that I appreciate everything you guys are doing for the community, the village. And while we, or some, might not always agree with every decision that you make, I and we know that it is being done for the best interest of all the residents in the village. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? We don't really have to close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lieberman, I'm sorry. Name and address for the record.
Yeah, Jerry Liebelson, 31 Midway Road. I'm just very curious to know if you know, or I guess I can foil the invoices. What were the actual amounts of tonnage collected the current fiscal year and the previous 3 or 4 years?
I can't tell you that off the top of my head,
Right.
but obviously they exist.
Okay, so
I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but I'm telling you the estimate from 5 years ago was a low of 4,300 tons to what's probably about 5,400 tons. So that you're going to see invoices between those two numbers.
4,300 from what year? roughly?
About 5 years ago.
To 5,400 now?
Correct.
That's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was an easy one. Thank you. All right. Anyone else wish to speak? All right. At this juncture, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for the.
I'll second.
Trustee Valentine. Trustee Cronin.
Aye.